Yo, 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 welcome everybody. Welcome back to Easy Desert with your host, Mike Roro. How are we doing? Man? Yet again, we're excited. We're excited to have you guys and have you on this journey with us over here at Easy Desert. And listen, we are on a journey. We are on a journey, especially starting with me. And I'm excited to share this journey with each and everybody that's willing to listen. And this journey has to do with sobriety. Um, whatever your issue is, drugs, alcohol, you're part of the community, the recovery community. So, um, disclosure, I don't even know about alcohol. I've only struggled with alcohol, and but doesn't even matter because your experiences, my experiences, are going to help someone. So, got a pretty good show today. Just I'm gonna just talk about the topic. The title says it all, man. What works? We're basically gonna. I'm just gonna give like an overview of the alcohol addiction recovery programs. Um, just really just like a brief discussion. Certain criticisms I've heard, pros, cons, all of that stuff that I've dealt with in all my years. I got some statistics. I also have a couple of short videos I want to show you guys and just really like reflect on addiction, man. Addiction destroys. But yeah, we're gonna get into that shortly. But I like to just give a quick shout out. Um, right now, just a quick shout out to the two companies that really played a major role in my recovery. Basically, got it started, and that's a shout out to Boca Recovery. Boca Recovery, wonderful place out in New Jersey. They 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 were. It's an amazing facility. They did a wonderful job helping folks make with their detox and how they ran the program. Amazing. Shout out to them. Also, All In Solution out there in Cherry Hill. Big shout out to All In Solution. If anybody is seeking, if anybody is desiring, if anybody is just fed up and want to get their life right, give All In Solution a call, man. Check their commercial out. It's interesting because when I was going through everything, I started seeing the commercials. It's like, holy, look at this place. So but yeah, shout out. Amazing place. So all right, let's jump into this, man. Just we pretty much just gonna jump into things that it took me a long while. For those of you that don't know and those of you that know, um born and raised in Brooklyn, and my lived in an inner city community. Had a drug abusive father. Crack was his drug of choice. DOC, drug of choice. And like every child, we all desired the love of a father. Didn't have that. My father was in and out of the house, a lot more out. My father stole everything from the house, all for his drug, and I I've seen my father in and out of countless programs. So I never really thought the programs worked. Now my father was in different detoxes, different programs as far as like whether they were religious programs, secular programs. He was in and out. I mean, I could probably think of my father, if I had to think, come up with a number, at least 15 different programs. Uh, None of them never worked. My father, his last 3, maybe 4 years of his life was able to live a sober, drug-free life, which is extremely proud of him. And during those years, we got to the relationships got to reconcile, thank God. But all of the running of the streets and drugs caught up with him, and he died at a fairly young age. But yeah, so my whole outlook of any of these programs was just like, nah, they don't work. They just don't work. But so that's why this time I don't want to say pride was in the way. Pride really wasn't in the way. I just truly didn't think it worked. You know, yeah, I just didn't think it worked. And what was the difference now? I just got to the point where I've been doing it on my own all these years, and yeah, I've been sober periods of times, and then I would slip and fall and just go back to be, like I said in the previous episode, relapse was winning 100% of the time, man. And so I got to the point where I was like, I need to go to a program and I need to see what tools they have available, because there are people that stop using whatever their drug of choice is. There are folks that have done it. And I got to the point I was just in a dire need of help, a dire need to put myself in a position where, yo, what is it? What are these tools? I want to stop. I had gotten to that point, and you know, it was like, yo, I really think these phones and internet be hearing us. I think they listen, because I was praying like, God, what do I do? I need to go get help. And a couple of hours later, I seen a commercial for All In Solution. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, so I um I started looking up the programs. I started looking up what's available. What is the process? Um, but I also started like my mind, and at the time I didn't know my mind was sick. I didn't know that my thought process catered to addiction. So like my mind, I started thinking of the pretty much the criticisms of what AA and Alcoholics Anonymous was, and things that I might have heard, the effectiveness. One of the things that I heard was the effectiveness, the debates on the AA success rate, and basically it's comparison with other treatment options. And even when I was reading all this, I didn't even know what other treatment options were. I, like many of us, we don't know. Lack of knowledge destroys many people. Then I would hear a lot of folks complain about the religious aspects of it all. And, the ones that would complain about the spiritual foundation of it all was basically the atheists, the agnostics, the non Christian faiths. They all had something negative to say about AA. And at the time, I didn't really know neither. I didn't understand why. Again, I didn't know anything about the program. Some people even criticize the fact that it's like a one size fits all approach. Um, it's basically the limitations of like a 12-step program. Uh, and it's like for diverse needs, they use the same type of programs. The, what was another one? The dependency. I've heard things where it was like more like you would end up being dependent upon the group itself. And then another thing was the lack of scientific basis or proof. You know, there was discussions on like the non-scientific approach that AA used to compare its evidence-based treatments. I mean, I was reading so much stuff that I was like, "Yo, what am I getting myself into?" And all I knew was that it worked though. It worked for folks. And then I realized my grandfather was an alcoholic, and I remember as a young kid, I've heard the stories that my grandfather was an alcoholic. I heard the stories from my father. I I didn't know. obviously the details, but my father told us a lot of stories. But I do remember as a kid, my grandfather had stopped drinking, and I do remember seeing those AA key chains that my grandfather had. And my grandfather, when he passed away, he had stopped drinking. So he was the only one that I knew worked. Um, and then like, so I know I just mentioned like a lot of the criticisms, but then I was like, what's the positive aspects of AA? What is it? You know, while and it counters obviously the negatives counter the positives and vice versa, but the supportive community, like the importance of the peer support and the shared experiences is amazing. And that's what I'm experiencing now. Going to these meetings, fellowshipping with a lot of the guys. It's crazy how great you feel when you're sitting in the room discussing some of the things that you've gone through and triggers and all of this, and to find out you're not alone, and to find out that other people have done different things to counter. It's amazing. It really does feel good. Another thing is the accessibility of the AA program. The accessibility, there's some place to go everywhere. And if you can't physically go somewhere, you can get on a Zoom meeting. Definitely a Zoom meeting. I mean, that's amazing. And again, there is a proven success rate. There are countless testimonials and studies supporting AA's effectiveness. It's there. You have to look it up. And they have a structured program. That 12-step program is big, man, and it's done. It was set up for a reason. I mean, and again, one of the things, not again because I didn't mention it, but one of the things that was really motivating in all of the steps that I've gone through, starting from the detox to the other counseling facilities, is the peer-led meetings. These folks that are giving the meetings went through the struggle, know the struggle, put in the work, and are living sober-free lives. And it doesn't mean that they don't ever go through the temptation, but it means they've been putting in the work. It's amazing. Like I can't even. I just it's amazing how the program and this particular system is really uplifting and left me with a lot of positive, hopeful feelings. Real quick, there was a study. Where did I get this study from? I apologize that I don't have the name, but I was writing a lot of stuff down. Um, there was a study in 2014. 22% of Alcoholic Anonymous AA members remain sober for 20 or more years, with the average length of sobriety being almost 10 years. That's impressive. That's impressive. Now, breaking it down, 27% folks are sober for less than a year, 24% sober for 1 to 5, 13% are sober from 5 to 10 years, 14% sober for 10 to 20, 22% are sober for 20 years or more. I mean, these like, why you might sit and say, well, those 20%, that's pretty low. It depends on your viewpoints. It really depends on your viewpoints. A program like this gives you a fighting chance. It helps you acknowledge and gain some wisdom and insight on what really the issues are. You know, some say a lot. Some say a lot of AA success is due to the supportive community, man. The structure, the camaraderie. Whoa, I'm telling you, AA describes itself as a brotherhood rather than a treatment, and I feel that. I feel that. But you know what? It's crazy because I always thought AA. I didn't know that they had other different groups. So there's a bunch of different groups from what I've been learning, but they all work. So I don't want to single out AA. I don't want to single out AA like that's the place to be. Look, there are other groups other than AA, but the similarities are they all use the 12 step approach. So they have something called so first the first other group that's out there for those of you that are searching and interested is called Smart Recovery. All right. Now, so this one, let me see how I can. It's not based on a spiritual foundation like AA. It's pretty much like a research based. There's scientific research and evidence that are used to support the techniques and methods that are promoted through smart recovery. So that's something that's one of the programs that people get into. Um, what's the other one? What's the other one? Oh my gosh, I'm all over the place. There's called Life Ring, Life Ring Recovery. Excuse me, Life Ring Alcoholism Recovery Program. That one is spiritual based, and they do have a 12-step program as well, like AA. They believe that each individual holds their own key to recovery, which is important. You do own your own key. You know, that's important to know. You are in charge. You are responsible for your recovery. Um, but the difference, like, yeah, it's spiritual based, but the difference with AA and them is Life Ring pretty much says it's not necessary to place the control in the hands of a spiritual being. That it basically falls on you. Where AA has you say your higher being, your the God as you understand is the one that will help you. So there's that small um, difference in it. They also have a woman for sobriety. I, I don't know too much about that, but it is a program that's engineered to focus on women's treatments or treatment needs. That's going to help support their best recovery. A lot of these places are going to tell you that's going to help your best support for recovery. They have face-to-face groups, just like I think all of these have face-to-face groups led by moderators to promote emotional and spiritual growth. So, I mean, that's another thing. There was another one, Dharma, I believe Dharma, and don't quote me. I believe it has to do with some more of a Buddhist principles, but I'm just randomly talking like that. Just there are other ways, guys. I don't want you, those of you that are listening. There are other options. There are other options out there. And no matter what it is, I'm going to just speak on this. You can go to these places. You can do all of these things. But let's just talk about what I was going through. So yeah, I wanted to go. I wanted to go. Um I knew I needed to go, but all of a sudden my mind started making a ton of excuses. Ton of excuses, man. And now that I reflect on it, it's amazing when I ultimately think, what the hell is an excuse? Why was I making excuses? Now, I truly believe this, and listen, I'm not I'm not in the field. I'm just a regular person just trying to get his life right. And but making excuses, you can almost always trace it back to one emotion, man, and that's fear. I was fear. I was fearful to go. I made a ton of excuses, and fear comes in many forms. Fear comes in many forms, man. Um, it- it's as simple as you make excuses about your dreams. You're afraid of failure. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can look at it. Um, and I was just making a ton of different excuses, man. And really, my excuses were a way to distract me from the task that I knew I needed to do. Um, and those excuses were just pushing me away. Nah, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Oh, I don't need to go. And the program don't work. Your father never did it. I was thinking of all these excuses, man. The fear. So I was using excuses to avoid failure, self doubt. I was uncertain. There's the making excuses when you're just uncertain of things. I definitely was uncertain of this whole move, what am I going to do? I wanted to avoid the discomfort, and what discomfort, man, just not being home, just doing things different. And I'm sure all of you know the saying, nothing changes if nothing changes. Like, I, I just was uncomfortable, you know. I was trying to reduce my responsibility as well. My responsibility as a husband, as a father. I just ton of excuses that, alcoholism was just bringing me down, man. And I was making all these excuses, and I don't want. I hope some of you guys can relate. I hope you can relate, man. So let's just talk about this real quick. There are I'm going to give you a couple of excuses that I made, that I've said, okay? First thing, when I started drinking and when I got heavy into drinking and all of this stuff, I told myself all the time, I can quit whenever I want. Come on now. I can quit whenever I want. How many of us have said that? This is the most common excuse given by anybody that deals with drug and alcohol abuse. We didn't believe that we were addicts. We didn't believe. We thought we were under full control of it. Another thing, we compared ourselves to others. Man, I ain't got a drinking. You see how much he drinks? Man, I ain't got a drug problem. You see what he does and she does? We compared ourselves, and we use another person's hurt and whatever they were going through to justify us. Another thing, when family would get in the way and try to tell you, another thing was, I'm only hurting myself. Come on now. Man, I'm only hurting me. My wife ain't got to worry about me dying. Her dying. I'm the one. My wife ain't got to worry about all of the health conditions. But in all reality, I get jacked up. My wife is worried. I'm affecting my wife. Crazy. Stressful days. You get up early. You work all these crazy hours. Another one. I deserve a drink. And today's the weekend, man. Today's relax. It's time to relax. I mean, come on now. How many of you can be honest and relate? Another, I would say, I was saying before I went in, man, I ain't that bad. I'm not that bad. How many of you said I'm not that bad, man? And then when I finally thought about going to get help, man, I can't go. You ready for this one? And I hope some of you guys can agree. Man, I'll lose my job. I'll lose my job. No, come on now. Another one. Yo, how am I going to pay for a treatment cost too much? Yes, come on now. Uh, you know, our sick minds are programmed for failure, man. Our sick minds are programmed for failure. I mean, there's no other there's no other way to say it. Now I'm gonna show you this video clip, and I want you to just listen to this clip. I got it off of I don't even remember. I don't know if it was one of those social media things, TikTok or whatever. I'll make sure I shout out their name. I think it's Urban something. But just watch this video, because listen, here's the reality, guys. We all have to get to the point where we had enough. I believe that because I went through it. Now that I had enough, I need to educate myself how to keep myself away from whatever my addiction is. But listen to this young lady and watch this video, and then you tell me what you think. It's crazy. It's crazy when I saw that, and with everything that I'm learning, what if the system is rigged for failure? What if the system is rigged for relapse? Ultimately, you have to make a decision. Like the young lady said, man, either you want out or you don't. Either you want out or you don't. We're gonna keep it 100% here, man. The reason why our excuses work on us is because we really don't want out. We're not ready and willing to start changing our mind and our perspectives. We're not ready to really see the real person that you are. We're not really ready to deal with the traumas that have happened in our lives, the hurts that have happened in our lives. We we only want to drown it away with alcohol, drown it away with drugs. We don't want to take care of it. Now, I don't know that young lady. I don't know her statistics, where she got it from. I don't know any of that. What I do know is that she was speaking truth when she said, either you want it or you don't. But now I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's as easy as just don't drink, just don't do anything. No, I can't say that. Yeah, it just comes down to how much you want it, man. I hit that point. I wanted it. Now, I know I was talking about the success rates of AA and all of that. Listen, this is another thing. Your excuses. Okay, you overcame your excuses. Now you're in a program. You're in AA, but you don't like it because of the whole talk about God. You don't like it, bro. It is a program. They're giving you tools. They're giving you a toolbox. All right. I'm just throwing up with 5 tools in it. In order to win, in order to get through this, you have to utilize all of the program. But the first thing that you have to do is change your mindset, because these excuses are going to cause you to just, I'm only going to use 2 out of the 5 tools that they've given me. You can't fix your house with just 2 tools. You understand? You can't rebuild it if you don't have all of the tools. So the first thing that we need to do is change our mind, bro. Hey, first of all, we need to acknowledge that our mind is sick. It's warped. It it filters every thought, every positive thought. It filters and it comes up with something negative, and it makes us rethink. Isn't it mind? Like think about when you were in your addiction, and think about how hours before the addiction, hours before you did something, you relapsed. You had already made a conscious decision in your mind to do it. You planned way in advance. How do I know? Because I did it. I did it. So I need you guys to understand this one thing. Focus on the excuses that you are coming up with. Focus on it. In order for any of these programs to work, you have to first battle the mind and realize the truth. Those excuses, you keep letting them win. It really doesn't matter what program you want to go to, because your thought process is going to keep you in failure. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. The last few weeks for me have been a lot easier because I've already understood that my mind is the first thing that I got to change. My thought process needs to be reevaluated, reconfigured, so that I can walk out in power and authority and not give into relapse, not give into those desires. So, what works? That's the title of the show. Any of these programs are going to work if you are willing. If you want it, you will get it. And I know we mentioned some stuff before, but about the camaraderie. Yo, it feels good to know that there's a few brothers in arms, lifting each other up. Yo, man, I'm weak today. All right, come on, bro, let's go. Whatever it feels good. And ladies, you stick with the ladies. And you got that team. So, what works? Leave the comments. Leave in the comments. Please communicate with us over at Easy Does It. And we're just generally talking, man. I'm talking about my experiences. I've had a wonderful experience so far with AA and the fellowship. I got no complaints. Maybe some that the coffee is a little weak here and strong over there, but I got no complaints. You know why? Because I'm going good in my sobriety. My mind is changing. It's getting stronger. It's becoming wiser. Every day, it's the renewing of your mind. I'm getting into habits, good habits. I'm making forward progress, whether it's a baby step or 15 steps forward. I'm moving forward, and it's happening because I'm willing and ready to do what I got to do and utilize the tools that were given to me, all the tools. So, ladies and gents, hey, remember, focus on just for today. You don't have to drink just for today. That's it. And when all else fails and you're feeling the weight of the world and your spouse is fighting with you and you're stressed about this, that, and that, Whoa, whoa, whoa. Easy does it. Easy does it, big fella. Easy does it. All right? Listen, you got this. You got this. All right? I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time at Easy Does It with Mike Rowe.